Hello, and welcome back to What We Pod in the Shadows, where we are currently discussing Season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
This week we are discussing the episode The Chamber of Judgement. But before we start discussing the episode, just a quick reminder to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and leave us a comment and or a review, depending on where you're listening to this. It could really help us get out there to more listeners if we get more feedback.
And you can also check us out on our other podcast, Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, where we discuss JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and the classic Powerpuff Girls, and we're currently on season 3 of the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, and sometimes we talk about vampires on there too.
Okay, so the Chamber of Judgment. Nadja and Nandor are looking for the Chamber of Judgment in a dank-looking underground tunnel when they are startled by Guillermo and then the guide, who had been skulking around for a half hour. They are looking forward to being judge and jury where they had once been sentenced to death. Laszlo has been invited over to Sean's for a boys' night, and he brings along Colin. They are watching community college hockey. Sean calls Colin Robinson Crusoe. Colin tries to stand in front of the TV, but all the guys insist he move. Laszlo brings cigars as gifts while Colin presents an Agatha Christie mystery game that he says will take till dawn to play.
Nandor and Nadja unveil their tribunal vestments to a clapping Guillermo. The guide makes them watch a mandatory sexual harassment video, which is the opposite of a normal sexual harassment video, and basically encourages council members to harass each other. The guide says that Nadja and Nandor agreed to be co-leaders, but only one can sit in the throne. Guillermo convinces Nandor to let Nadja sit there. Guillermo is on some Game of Thrones shit and wants to manipulate them both to do what he wants. Sean and his friends are bored playing Colin's murder mystery when Sean asks everyone how they've been sleeping. He uses the opportunity to try to sell all of his friends the Guy pillow and My Pillow ripoff for $50. None of his friends are interested because it's an expensive pillow. Several vampire dancers practice around Nandor and Nadja, but Nadja is displeased and makes them start over. Nadja complains to Guillermo that Nandor is too tall and she can't see around him, so Guillermo convinces her to get rid of the throne. Sean complains that the throne looks stupid empty.
Sean wants them all to buy, 25 pillows each and sell them to their friends, but they aren't interested. He's upset Nandor and Guillermo didn't come and reveals a garage full of the pillows. The guy he bought them from is taking Sean to court for the money because Sean has only sold 3 and the pillows are only for men. Because he tried to give one to Charmaine, but they're only for men. I mean, in your own house, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
Laszlo thinks he can help Sean in court. Guillermo suggests he sit on the throne in a cloak with the hood up for the symbolism. So that is what they do. The dancers in white do their dance, and I have Ioric the Knavish is brought before the council for selling herbs to other vamps that are supposed to protect them in sunlight. Video is shown of 6 or so vampires exiting a camper and burning in the daylight. So the guide said she got the footage by Crow Cam. Nadja thinks he should be executed, but Nandor says they should offer mercy. So Nadja asks about throwing him in a cell for hundreds of years.
The next defendant is accused of breaking pretty much every vampiric law and is revealed to be Derek from the Mosquito Hunters Club. Guillermo left him behind during the Mosquito Hunters Club's last mission and didn't realize that he was still alive, or rather, undead. Guillermo feels guilty, but is relieved that he's not dead. Derek is accused of turning into a bat on the subway to scare teenagers, stealing blood bags from blood donation centers, wearing bad vampire clothes, which got hot topic, feeding on people out in the open, and owning an unlicensed hellhound. Derek, as a new vampire, doesn't know the rules, and Guillermo tries to get Nandor and Nadja to cut him some slack, but they decide because they were merciful to the previous guy, they should give out a crazy harsh punishment and sentence him to death in the Well of Daylight. Guillermo goes to see Derek in the Well of Daylight and apologizes for leaving him behind. Derek keeps getting in the sunshine and getting burnt. just wishes that he'd gotten a rule book or something. Guillermo gives him robes to keep Derek covered up from the sun. Guillermo tries to convince Nandor that Nadja steamrolled him into sentencing Derek to death and vice versa, but neither will relent.
At the Staten Island Small Claims Night Court, Sean brings out Laszlo as his lawyer. He's dressed in a robe with a white wig. Colin appears as his paralegal. Laszlo in England used to represent himself in court as well as hogs and horses. Laszlo just keeps saying objection. The judge rules against Sean and says he owes $12,700. Guillermo reads The Art of War when Sean, Laszlo, and Colin return after bar hopping. In the Judgment Chamber, a vampire changes her name from Jennifer to Gabby the Dreadfully Loathsome. Guillermo brings in Derek in chains and says he is entitled to counsel. So Colin and Laszlo come in.
Guillermo does all the talking because Laszlo is so drunk and convinces Nandor and Nadja that Laszlo has agreed to mentor Derek as a fledgling vampire and that he will work off his transgressions. Nadja mainly agrees so that Laszlo can finally win a case. The Hellhound starts freaking out and Guillermo opens its cage, revealing a normal-looking golden retriever. Nandor and Nadja are horrified of the dog, but amazed that Guillermo has control over it. And then we go to the end credits where we see Derek hypnotizing people into buying the guide pillow, presumably to pay off Sean's debt.
That whole thing, I would think, especially since they went before a judge, I don't know, like they should have let Sean at least say what happened. I don't think the judge really asked. I mean, I guess she had his paperwork, like what occurred, but he could have just said, look, I don't have the money. Can I just give them back? Yeah. I don't understand that part. Like, he still had everything.
Yeah.
It's not like, he bought a bunch of candy and then ate it all. Like, it's still...
Yeah,
they're still in the boxes and everything. So
yeah,
he could. So I don't like. I would think Laszlo could have come up with something better. He had nothing.
Yeah, I think if Sean had a lawyer who actually knew even a tiny bit about law, that he might have been able to win the case. But Laszlo has apparently never even won a case, even back in the day, and he seems not to know anything about modern law.
I'm thinking even just Colin could have done a better job, and maybe even just got the judge to go to sleep. And
yeah,
I don't know.
Colin would have probably at least done his research.
Yeah, it would have just been painful to listen to it in painstaking detail. That's just some sort of pyramid scheme, though. You gotta make your friends buy it. And then it's once you kind of exhaust your friends, then it's real hard to get other customers. And then you're just stuck with it. Or he was trying to do. He just wasn't good at the pyramid scheme. Probably the other guy was in a pyramid scheme too that he bought them from.
Yeah.
He couldn't even get anyone to buy anything. So he just ended up stuck with them. But he always thinks, or a lot of people think that they're rich, and I don't know. They seem to not have money, or they don't want to part with it.
Yeah.
Because they have those kind of fancy outfits, but...
Yeah, the house is pretty fancy, too.
We need to talk about, who's taking care of the bills, and it probably is Guillermo, but probably. I could see them I just paid that, and then 2 years go by, the electric bill or something.
Yeah. I like that Guillermo did that whole scheme just so that he could get to sit on the throne.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah. He kind of, for a chair,
was able to play them up against each other, but then there were some things that they kind of wait, I remember that's not what happened there. What's goofy about them showing mercy with that first guy, he got a bunch of people killed, whereas I understand with Derek it's supposed to be well, he's gonna expose us as vampires, but he didn't kill anybody. And they probably were I've never seen this guy before, so they could have thought, hey, maybe he's new.
Yeah.
The council, you would think that would be something important that they would do, like with Jenna. If you do make a new vampire, that she's got to go through classes or something.
Yeah.
If you guys don't follow this, we might have to put you down because you're gonna expose us. Like, you can't leave dead bodies laying around. I don't even think he did that, did he?
No, I mean, he was feeding on people out in the public, though.
Yeah.
That part,
I think they were supposed to be like homeless people, but he just didn't know what he was supposed to do. Like,
yeah. They need like a vampire handbook, like that they have the handbook for the recently deceased in Beetlejuice, but for
I
vampires.
think that was very useful though.
Yeah, some of it wasn't super helpful, but they needed a little something.
Very straightforward. Or like written very plainly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why Sean thought he could sell $12,700 worth of those pillows. Like a garage full.
That's so many pillows.
That's like 254 if you round up to the 50. But then I'm not sure. Like, you'd think he would get to keep part of the profit. So it might be not quite that same amount, but.
Yeah.
Weren't they supposed to have killed everyone in that vampire house?
I thought maybe there were still some survivors, at least like it looked like it, whilst Guillermo was getting people out, and that's why he was like, no, we're leaving Derek because there were still other vampires that he'd got.
But then when they were on trial, they made it sound like all of them died. But I do remember they were kind of jumping out the window and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, they killed this entire family. It's kind of what they made it seem like. But so, I mean, they must have made him a vampire and then, like she did with Jenna, and just like set him out. And if they're willing to kill him for that, for being careless, then they should be taking better care of the ones that are just turned.
Absolutely.
Because they probably are going to just they're going to let their thirst take over and just like probably prey on vulnerable people. Like, I'm going to eat a child or this old person or this handicapped person or something. It's like easy to catch. I don't know. It's funny that they were getting on him about his bad fashion. It was a little piratey.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like stealing the IV bags was kind of genius on his part.
It was a smart idea. I know that it's not super great because then people can't get their blood, so that might get a little obvious. But like, who's stealing our blood? Maybe it was vampires.
I don't think anybody thinks vampires, but
probably not. But like to the vampires, it might make it seem like it's more obvious.
If he was careful about it, I don't know how often they have to feed, but if he just stole what he. Like if a bag would get him for a week, you know what I mean? Like, just one. And if he went to different places each time, they would never figure it out. I don't know if we see Derek again. I like the night court that they went to night court because it just reminds me of that show, but.
Yeah. I liked that Colin was almost immediately trying to drain even Laszlo for inviting him when he did that Jar Jar impression, but like Laszlo has not seen Star Wars, so he didn't know who Jar Jar was, so he just was like, it's a fun voice you're doing, Colin.
Yeah. I thought it was funny, like they still, even though he said it was gonna take till dawn to play that game, they like the next scene they're playing it. I was kind of surprised.
They still humored him.
Because those guys, they kind of get into like the whatever sport they're watching, and
yeah.
I don't know if he got to feed off of them like he thought he was going to, like him trying to stand in front of the TV, and they just like weren't having it.
Yeah.
I don't think they're like super lively people necessarily.
Nah. I'm sure some of them are probably extra not lively because Colin has like bet on them before. They go over there all the time.
Maybe with some of these crimes, like with the council, like the guide, she didn't really guide them.
Mm-mm.
Like, how is this, traditionally, what is the sentence for this? Or, maybe in more recent judgments, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I do feel like maybe they wouldn't listen to her, but yeah, why wasn't she like at least attempting to guide them?
I mean, obviously, like being like locked in a room for hundreds of years is still not a great judgment, but I'm not sure if he should have been killed necessarily. I'm not sure if he was like trying to kill those people or if he was just trying to make money.
Yeah.
Because if I took something like that, like an herb, and it was supposed to do something, but I knew that the thing it was supposed to do would kill me, I think I would have been real cautious and they just walked outside.
Yeah, wouldn't you just you'd stick out your fingers thing?
They just kept coming.
Yeah.
Like maybe they could have stuck one of them out there that, not the most popular of the group.
Yeah.
Yo, Billy Bob, go see what happens. And then it just kept going. So, I guess in a way they were kind of stupid to believe it and then not be cautious. But anyway, I liked the hellhound. I don't know is that how they act around all dogs? Because it was just like a golden retriever.
Yeah.
It was definitely not a hellhound unless it was and could disguise itself, but
yeah, it could be that they just look like regular dogs now, or it could be that they just don't actually know what a hellhound is and they're just like, dog!
No, he has a dog. I don't really get that because, lots of people have dogs.
Yeah.
And I know they watch a little bit of TV. A lot of times on a show, there'll be a dog.
I'm just where would he even get a hellhound? He doesn't know all this other vampire stuff, but he managed to get a hellhound, supposedly. Allegedly.
Yeah. And then who's policing these people? Who picked up Derek?
Yeah.
And who got the Yorick, the knavish guy? So is there some part of the council, some workers of the council that go round these people up that are police? Do the wraiths go grab them? Or that group that dances, do they round these people up?
I need to know a little bit more about the lore and the world building.
I just think they need to do a better job as a whole.
Yeah.
They need some outreach. Hey, we need you to not do this. I just think Nadja would probably go and just rip people's hearts out if they're yeah, we're gonna keep doing that thing that we've been doing.
Yeah, probably so. I think we're gonna end our discussion here. Thank you all so much for listening, and if you haven't already followed or subscribed, depending on what platform you're listening to this on, go ahead and do that for us, and leave us a comment or review. We might even read it on the show.
Push all the buttons for us, and don't miss our other podcast, Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah. So until next time, you're dead and out of this world. Goodbye.
Goodbye.